Hello everyone. Today we will discuss main principles of critical discourse analysis. The pioneers of critical discourse analysis such as Norman Fairclough, Ruth Wodak and Van Dyke, they come with different approaches to CDA. However, these all CDA practitioners they agree upon certain principles which are common in their approaches. As we know, their CDA began somewhere in late 1980s, right? And with the passage of time, it evolved. So, with different methodologies and with different approaches, we have some common characteristics. So, whenever you are doing critical discourse analysis of any piece, that can be text, that can be talk, right? Okay, that can be verbal text, that can be written text. So you can use or these principles or characteristics of CDA must be in your mind. Let's begin and learn. Introduction to CDA. Critical discourse analysis as an approach that explores the role of language in shaping social issues. So, what is critical discourse analysis? It's an approach and it explores, right? It investigates, it examines the role of language in shaping social issues. How social issues such as power relations, ideologies, gender discrimination, racial issues, and so many other social issues are there. How these social issues are built by using language. This is what we call critical discourse analysis. CDA looks at how power, inequality, and ideologies are embedded in language, aiming to uncover hidden relationship in discourse. So one thing you should keep in mind: what makes critical discourse analysis from other discourse analysis? Discourse analysis before the emergence of CDA were non-critical. The purpose of discourse analysis to make a text meaningful, to identify coherence and cohesion in a text, cohesive devices, what is the theme, what is the rhyme, right? And how the text, the overall text gives meaning. So the aim was not to dig out hidden ideologies, power relation, injustices, discrimination that happened by using language. So it was CDA that looks for, or the aim of CDA to uncover hidden relationship in discourse, right? Power relation in discourse, and to uncover inequalities, power, and ideologies which are embedded in language. Fine. So Fairclough and Wodak propose 8 key principles that guide CDA analysis. So if you're doing critical discourse analysis of any text, so your analysis will be guided by these 8 principles proposed by Wodak and Fairclough. And these 8 principles, not just in their approaches, but in all CDA approaches, we can find these principles. Maybe not all of them, but somewhere we may find 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And somewhere we may find these all principles of CDA. So the first one is CDA addresses social problem. CDA focuses on understanding and addressing social issues through language. So that is the first principle. So the roots of CDA is where? In social issues. We have lot of social issues. For example, in our society, we may face injustices, discrimination, gender issues, racial issues, or there may be immigration issues. There may be so many injustices in our society. So critical discourse analysis addresses those social issues. Example, imagine a news report about unemployment. CDA would not just analyze the words used in the report, but also how those words reflect power relation. For example, the phrase jobless individual might carry a different implication than unemployed citizen. So when we say that jobless individual, so a person who is above 1670 is also jobless. A person who is without job, maybe that he wants a job or maybe they don't want a job. Okay, the people that who are crippled, okay, some have physical disabilities, they are also without job. Children are also without job. Some women are also without job. So a lot of people can be without job. So when we say they're jobless, so you may want a job, you may not want a job. But when we say that unemployment, so you are in search of job, but you can't find a job. So, jobless individual and unemployed citizens carry different implication. CDA would look at how these choices influences an understanding of social problems like unemployment. Power relations are discursive. It means that power is exercised by using language. So, principle power is not just held by institutions, it is also enacted through language. As I told, that when we say that power relations are discursive, so we mean that language carries power relation. Language is not only a tool for communication, but it also carries power. For example, in politics, speeches often reflect power dynamics. For instance, a politician is saying, "The public support this policy," uses language to assert authority over the issue and potentially influencing public perception. So when a politician says that the public support this policy, so what is he doing? They use language to assert, to say something, or authority over the issue, potentially influencing public perception that people wanted, people support. So CDA would examine how such language can reinforce political power by making certain viewpoints seem more legitimate or neutral. So, the main purpose of this slide or this principle is that language is not empty tool. It carries power relations. We use language to control other. We use language to shape the minds of the people. We use language to build power relations, right? To dominate other, to control other, to persuade other, and to convince other. So this is the second principle. The first one, it addresses social issues. The second one, power relations are discursive. Discourse constitutes society and culture and is constituted by them. It is one of the core principle of critical discourse analysis. It means that if on the one hand discourse is shaped by social conventions, by social norms, by social structures, on the other hand the same discourse can shape social structures, social norms, social conventions. It's a two-way process, right? And this is called dialectical relationship between language and non-linguistics elements. So we can say that discourse constitutes society and culture and is constituted by it. If on the one hand it is discourse which shapes, constitutes society and culture, on the other hand society and culture constitute discourse. For example, if I speak something, so my speaking, my ideas would reflect my social conventions that I am part of. And on the other hand, I am using language to change those social conventions, to change those social norms. So discourse principle is that their discourse helps shape society and culture, but it is also shaped by them. Example, consider advertisements promoting a beauty product. So these ads often portray a narrow definition of beauty. Over time, this discourse can shape societal expectations and norms. However, the way beauty is defined in these eight is also influenced by society's existing values and culture. So, when we see advertisement, and in that advertisement we see certain items, okay, or beautification item, or we can see that promoting beauty product. There may be some skincare cream or shampoo or something else. So over time, with the passage of time, this discourse can shape societal expectation. The discourse we use, the language we use in these advertisement, people are going to use and buy those beauty product and will use them, right? So this will shape what? Societal norms, societal conventions. But when we say that these beauty products are beneficial for your skin, so this is also the result of social and cultural norms. So as I told, how I see the world, how I perceive the world, how I think about particular race, how I think about particular group of society, because it is my culture, it's my social norm, it's my convention which tell me how to define people. But a time will come that we use a counter discourse to change these social conventions. CDA states that discourse is socially constituted as well as socially conditioned. Furthermore, discourse is an instrument of power of increasing importance in contemporary societies. The way this instrument of power works is often hard to understand, and CDA aims to make it more visible and transparent. The fourth principle of CDA is discourse does ideological work. So, as we learn that power is carried out by using language, so ideologies are also manufactured, ideologies are also built by using language. So, discourse does ideological work. So, we promote ideologies, we build ideologies, we transfer ideologies by using language. So language and discourse help create and maintain ideologies. So we create ideologies, we maintain ideologies which are often invisible to us. Example, a company might advertise a new product as revolutionary, suggesting it is breath okay, it is breakthrough, a company might say. So this is also building ideologies in advertisement. So the use of language promote an ideology that innovation is always good, even though when the product might just be a minor improvement. CDA would examine how such discourses support consumerism or corporate agenda. So these kind of discourse will support some corporates, right, or the agenda of corporates, and will attract consumers to buy more product. Discourse is historical. Discourse is linked to history and cannot be understood in isolation from the past. So every discourse we produce, so we understand because it would have a history. Example, consider the language used around the topic of racial equality in the 1960s compared to today. In the past, racial segregation might have framed as necessary for society, interpreted very differently by someone from a conservative background versus a liberal understanding these historical shift and discourse. So discourse help us see how societal attitudes evolve. So it means, okay, that whatever we produce, whatever we say, that it is the result of some historical uh, context. So if I say something today, so it would have a history, and might be through those historical period in time, it evolves and it changed. Relationship between text and society are mediated. This principle says that the link between language and society is not direct, it is influenced by various social and cognitive factors. This principle we can see in the approach of Van Dyck socio-cognitive approach. He says that the relationship between discourse and society is not direct, it is indirect, and it is linked by cognitive factors, right? What you call mental frames. So we have in mind, right, something. We see something, right? And then we store in our mind, and then we produce or interpret. So the relationship between language and society, or discourse and society, is not direct, but it is linked. Why? What? Why? Cognitive factors. For example, that when reading a social media post, the meaning you drive is shaped not only by the words but by your background, experience, and social context. So, whenever you read something in the newspaper, or there might be a social media post, so when you read it, so you have in mind the knowledge of language, but the language plus the knowledge of the world. So then, whenever you see those words used in advertisement, so your mental frames will be activated. So the meaning will be given to these words or advertisement differently by different people. For instance, a tweet about political policies might be interpreted very differently by someone from a conservative background versus a liberal one. So, CD examines how different contexts influence the interpretation of discourse. 7. Discourse analysis is interpretive and explanatory. This is taken from Norman Fairclough tridimensional approach. This principle says that CD aims not only to interpret the text but also to explain the social context and impact. So, CDA does not only interpret the text but also how the text will influence this broader social context. Example imagines a headline that reads, Government unveils tough new crime laws. So, how this discourse, not just for interpretation, but how it's going to influence the social structure. So, a CD approach would interpret the language and explain how it frames the government as a protector of society, but might also critique the way it indirectly supports a tough on crime, ideology, potentially ignoring social factors like poverty. And the last one is the discourse is a form of social actions. We take social actions, we go towards solution, right? And we create awareness. So, a discourse is not just a reflection of reality, but a way of act in the world and make changes. So, social change is brought by using discourse. So, consider how a social media post about the climate change can inspire actions such as people signing petition or attending protest. So, discourse about climate change does more than reforms, it encourages social actions, challenging individuals and groups to engage with the potentially alter their behavior. And we can conclude today's lecture that critical discourse analysis help us understand how language shapes and is shaped by society. By examining discourse, CD uncover hidden power, dynamic ideologies, and societal norms. And it emphasizes the need for a critical context and aware approaches to analyzing text and their social impacts. Thank you so much. I was a little bit tired today, so I may not have explained it very well, but inshallah, I do promise that in the next lecture, I'll try my level best to explain in detail. Thank you so much. Please do provide your valuable comments about today's lecture. Once again, thank you.